Okay, we're recording.
Is that how you want to start the
You didn't say 2 or 1.
I
Okay.
just kicked the tripod. Hold on.
No, you didn't.
It's good.
Okay, now sit down, Bert Gummer Jr.
Should we rewind the tape and start over there,
No,
Chucky?
no. Here it goes, here it goes. Okay, when doing
Hold
3D
on.
plans,
DJ 3D.
3D plans, take 1. Here you go. Woo! Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to launch AutoCAD. No, I'm sure it's fine if you like just... Okay, we launched up AutoCAD. Now, I'm going to open up the last file I did and just use it as a template. Doesn't matter. You can use any template you want. Whatever. So I go into my folder and I've opened up the last plan I did. It has all my stuff saved in there like I wanted it. Here it is.
What time was it when we started?
10:17. Okay, so I'm going to go and delete from the old plan pretty much everything. Don't go at such high speed. You're able to record this, okay? I deleted everything from the old plan. I'm deleting the old silly pool I did. I'm going to leave the property in this case because, you know. I'm also going to switch this to a 30 weight line so I can see it better. And I'm going to put myself onto the temp layer. You design on the 4 temp layer, and I'm going to switch to a fatter line weight. Now I'm going to go to my website, and this is the pool I'm working on, PFT_2. So I'm going to go save as PFT_2 because I don't want to save over that last drawing. So now I got my drawing saved. I am Image Manager. Here's the old plot. I can bring it up by turning back on the layer it's on, which was in this case the depth points layer. You see, there's the old plan right there. Now I'm going to switch it for this plan. I'm just going to copy the path right from the website in the Image Manager. Replace it with this path and save path. And choose OK. It's downloading it, that's why it's taking a couple of seconds. OK. Now, in this case, it's not quite the same size. You can see that it's different size, but that's totally fine. I'm going to just move this image right over here. Inserting an image from the Image Manager, when you go and attach an image, you can attach any image you want and basically stick it on the screen any size you want. But you need to have it an exact size. And you can move it anywhere you want also. You need to have it an exact size. In this case, I need this back wall to be 60 feet. So this applies the same if you're scaling an image that somebody hand drew that you scanned in with your scanner, or something you got off the web, whatever you're tracing, you want it at the same size. When you scan the image, you also first want to go into like your Photoshop Paint Shop program and straighten it out, make sure that it's not crooked, because it's a hell of a lot easier to do inside of Paint Shop rather than do it inside of this program. So I'm going to go back here to this back wall because I know this back wall is supposed to be 60 feet across, and I'm going to take a dimension line from my toolbar, and I'm going to click a dimension on it. And the dimension is 59.3. Now, I made that little spreadsheet. Ricky. So it's supposed to be, put in what it's supposed to be over what it is. It's supposed to be 60. It is 59 feet 3 inches. 59 feet 3 inches. My scale factor is 720 over 711. So I'm going to literally grab the picture and the dimension, 720/711 spacebar, and that shows me right there. Now it's 60 feet. You delete that, close this. Don't want to save my changes. Grab it, and I'm going to move it, and I'm going to snap it right from a corner or something where I can snap it onto the plan. So I grabbed it right from that specific spot, and bingo, I've snapped it to the plan. Now I reselect it.
When using the spreadsheet, never save your changes.
Good commentary. Okay, now I've selected the picture because it overlapped what I want to see. Select the picture tools, display order, send to back. I sent it to the back. Now look, I got a nice thing set up, ready to trace. House is the same as the other one. I just need to basically start putting in the components. Putting in this deck here first. The deck comes straight off the house. And I want this corner because this thing lines up with the corner here, so I want those corners. So I'm going to go like that, put my 2 lines in. Fillet, radius, 0. Bring them in. Bingo. It is off a little bit there, but that's because of this one project. Normal pool plans you do for somebody won't be off. You'll put them on specifically these people don't know what a normal pool plan is, so I was able to adjust it to help them out. Now this is a pool and spa, grass, and a planter. Let's put the spa in. I'm guessing I'm going to make a circle here with the circle command. I start just making it, and I'm going to tell it 36, which makes it a 6-foot spa, because it's a 36 from the middle, is 6 feet across. It's not only too big, their spa is way too small. Nobody's going to, in real life, have a spa that's as small as these guys have their spa. But, do I care? I'm going to offset that 6 inches. I guess I don't care. It's a 5-foot spa in this case. There's a 2.5-foot radius and a 5-foot spa. And delete that. Okay, so I'll put a 5-foot spa in.
Wait. In real life, there couldn't be one?
There could be,
Is
but
that
it would
super
be
tiny?
It would be small. But you know what? I don't. You know. Normally, a bench in any situation is 18 inches deep to be able to sit in. The benches in the pools will make them 18 inches. Normally, the second step is at least 18 inches. In this case, if I make that 18 inches, people are going to be able to put their feet in this thing. I'm gonna make this thing 14 inches, just so it looks a little bit more appropriate. And I'm also going to do them a favor, and I'm going to take a line from here to there, which is kind of the angle of the spa. I'm going to rotate that line exactly the opposite direction by polar snapping it. And I'm going to put a step into this puppy. Actually, I'm going to make the step just a little bit smaller. I'm going to normally your steps are 14-inch circles. Your benches are 18, your steps are 14. You need this buffer zone here between the step and the bench so that when you fillet it, they have a place to round to. Otherwise, it'll fillet and it won't fillet. You'll get fillet limp. So, there's our spa. Now, the spa's far enough away from the pool where I don't got to worry about the two of them touching. Normally, a spa from a pool is going to be either 6 inches or 12 inches. Right here, there's going to be a dam wall, normally. It's either a 6-inch dam wall or 12-inch dam wall.
That's like, what, 18 inches?
Yeah, this is like 2 feet or something, and there's solid deck right on top. Sometimes there's a spillway between this pool and spa. What you do then, if it's 12 inches here, you offset your spa 6 and your pool 6 so that they match up exactly. Or you offset your pool 3 and your spa 3 so that they match up exactly. In this case, it doesn't matter if they're actually going to be 2 separate entities. Now, real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and just trace the rest of the plan, starting with the pool by using a series of arcs. So I'm just going to take it around to there, and there. Normally, pools will be consisting of about 1/10 the amount of arcs these silly things are, but these were done, like I said, as a bit of a special situation. So these don't quite. They're all the same principle, though, when you do the 3D thing.
What is it? Because his arcs aren't correct?
He used, like, Flash to make these or something. These aren't. Normally.
They're not very smooth, huh?
Normally, yeah. Normally, less is more. I'm going to delete that. That didn't quite work. I back this up. Oops. Double-clicked it on that side. By the way, double-clicking anything brings up its properties, which is sometimes helpful. That's up there. Around. Yeah, normally when you're designing a pool, less is more. It does you no good just to put in a bunch of silly squiggly lines for no reason. If they were actually to go to build this pool, when they would go to lay it out, and they saw that it had 58 zillion miniature radius points, they would give up. You would never actually be able to make it look just like this without it going to such an extreme. It wouldn't be right. But in this case, this is fine. It's just a free-form little silly pool. We're just going to bust it out real quick. Almost done with the pool. Come around here. Come around this corner. And there. I'm going to try to finish it up with one last arc. And there it is. Close enough. Put in these steps over here. And these aren't even straight circles. Normally those would be a lot more normal as well. I will try.
In which case you would use a circle, right?
Yeah, I should try to normalize them a bit. Well, you know what? I'm just going to do it like they have them. How about that? That's how they want them. That's what they're going to get. They paid for good chicken. They're getting good chicken. Okay, go here, here, here. Just making a series of arcs. I'm hitting the spacebar again. Just reissues the last command.
Now, how are you bringing that line back to the pool?
Yeah, I'm purposely not going all the way to the edge because it's trying to snap. See, that's my snap line's up, and I don't want the line to attach there. So what I do when I make my arc is I go close to the edge so it doesn't snap, and I pull it away till that snap disappears, because you can turn your snap on and off with F3. Snap on, snap off, snap on, snap off. I like leaving it on, and F10 does your polar tracking. When I make a line, it goes straight at 45, 90, 130, 270, 180, whatever. If I turn off polar tracking, it stops doing that. Polar tracking is F10. But I like leaving them on. I think they're useful. So I'm not drawing them all the way to the line right now, and I'm going to clean that up later. Make my arc for this. My arc for this big silly step right here. Now I go extend. I'm going to extend these lines to this line. So basically all I have to do is select the line I'm extending to. Hit the space bar. Now select the objects you want to extend. I just click the end of these little puppies, and it's going to spit them perfectly onto the edge. Now the reason you want to use commands like extend and trim, if this went past this thing, I would want to trim it with TR, because it's real easy to get a piece hanging over just a tiny bit. And if it is hanging over just a tiny bit, when you try to do a 3D, it's not going to work, and you're not going to know why. You've got to have things perfect. Okay. Now, I'm going to make this bench. I'm going to try to make this bench real nice here, so I'll just do it like this. Take my arc around there, arc around here, and it goes about there. Keep arcing. Right now, in most cases, you would actually go and you would offset this line by 18 inches, but in this case, if I do that, it's not going to match this full plan. So in this case, I kind of have to match with what they got. So I'm just going to follow their line and let it be real freeform and natural, because that's what these guys have. Geometric pool, you wouldn't do that. You would do them a favor and make that an 18-inch bench, stuff like that. Okay, I got my spine, got my pool in, got my steps in, got my deck in, which the deck is a nice example of killing two birds with one stone, because the deck is also the edge of the planter and the edge of the grass. So I'm going to swing that around here. By the way, it's nice to zoom in and trace it real nice and close, but the truth of the matter is, when these things print, and when these people look at these things, they have no idea how close you will really to the lines. No, you don't have to kill yourself, but with AutoCAD it's so nice that you can kill yourself without killing yourself. Okay, coming around the bend. She'll be coming around the bend. Okay, almost done with the deck. Rips around there. You can use a spline. It would be almost easier to use a spline. And you can just keep going and clicking on the points, but splines and 3D are the two worst combinations on planet Earth. If you're going to do 3D, stay away from a spline. Don't even use it. Don't go there. Or you're going to hate yourself later. Come around bend. Right there.
Hey Don, is it true you used to play a doctor on TV?
No, but I played one on TV. Going around the bend. Last one. I'm going to attach it right to the end there. Put that there. Yay, yay, yay. Saving my work by taking Control S. Do that all the time. Otherwise, you have to redo things all the time. AutoCAD does crash, especially when you actually do CAD stuff with it. That's when it starts crashing now. So I can take this about there. Take this to about here. Take this to about here. And bring this right into there. Now see, I purposely went past it because we're going to try to snap. Snap it back. Real quick, if you go into your Tools, Options menu, under the Display setting, there's a tab here, Display Resolution. Right now I have it set to 32 segments in a polyline curve. That is what directly translates into 3D. 32 is the lowest you want to use. 32 will look good, but if you want a higher resolution on your 3D model, when you import it to 3D Studio Max, you need to go to 64. 128 is a very high resolution.
Why don't you use it?
In this case, I'm going to go to 64 just because I'm that kind of guy.
What's mine set at?
And what that does is basically that sets it now when I export it, that's when that's going to make a difference. If you make a circle in this program and you import in 3D Studio Max, you look at that circle, that's how many segments that circle is going to be made up of, which directly translates into polygons. If you're making something for a video game, that number wants to go down. If you're making something for a photorealistic look, that number wants to go way up. But sometimes if you don't remember that setting, when you make something here in 3D and you take it to 3D Studio Max, you'd be like, it's kind of blocky, it's kind of choppy. Well, go back into the original model, up the polygons, and then spit it back out. Oh yeah, and then spit it back out. Okay, this is done. I'm going to save it. There's the planter's outlined by the deck, the grass and the deck, and this piece of the deck, and the pool and the spa, whatever. Now I'm going to take this image, and I can just delete it, that would be fine. But I'm going to leave it there in hopes of when I do the next plan of these, the image is kind of close to where it is. I'm going to go and I'm going to put it on my plan JPEG layer, just because I'm that kind of guy. And then I'm going to turn that layer off. And there. Now the plan's still there. The layer's just been turned off so that I'm not having to look at it. Now, I also want to look at the bright red, so I'm going to go back from red to white. Change my forward temp layer to white. I don't want to look at those thick lines, I'm going to change those to the default. And I'm going to change myself to the grass layer. I can design on any layer now because I've got the design done. I've got my black and white done. This is never going to change. I just want to use my grass layer because it's bright green. I can, when I trace things or check things out, it's going to be real easy to do. Now, I'm going to move to my 3D view and look to see what I've got going already. I've already got property wall lines, the house thing, and the house white. Those are going to remain. I don't need to do those. What I do need to do is this piece of grass. I'll just start with this piece of grass. I'm going to select all the elements of that piece of grass right there. Copy it. Move it to the left 1,500 inches. Right to the middle. That's why I'm going to be working on it now. Issue my trim command. Select the whole darn thing. Trim off the edges. Bingo. I should have, if everything was done right, a perfectly done set of lines that are all touching. I don't give a shit what shape it is as long as they're touching. Up to my toolbar.
Don, remember this tape has a PG-13 rating.
I'm going to use this polyline edit. Edit polyline. Multiple. It's always multiple. Select objects. Select them all. Spacebar. Convert to lines and arcs. Oops. Screwed it up. Okay, try it again. Multiple. Convert to lines. Yes. Join. The spacebar and pass right past everything else. Select it. One click. Light the whole thing up. Means it's a polyline. Now, I've got to extrude that piece of grass now and turn that into a 3D object. This is where I have to stop and think. This pool is going to have cantilever coping, 3 inches thick is how I'm going to make that pool. So everything's going to be based on that 3-inch thickness I've set. If I was doing a pool with flagstone coping, I would make the flagstone coping only 1.5 inches thick, which means I'd also make my decks 1.5 inches thick. So you have to base everything on that, knowing how thick your coping is going to be. If you're using brick that's 2 inches thick, well then you also want to make your deck 2 inches thick, and you also want to make your grass based on how thick the deck is. You don't want a deck this thick and grass that tall. It's not going to be right. In this case, I'm using a 3-inch deck, which sets the scale for everything. 3-inch deck means I'm going to go another 1/4 inch on the grass. So I'm going to extrude, EXT, that thing, how much? 3.25 inches. Boom, it lights up green because I'm working on a different layer, which means when I check it, it turns 3D, grab it, move it over an additional 1,500 inches, and I just moved it into play. The 3D plan is coming into action right there. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and put the planter in too. Just like this whole deal back here. I'm just going to go ahead and select most of this stuff. Copy it over. Because I'm copying it, I can select extra stuff. And I can delete everything I don't need, which is this pool stuff and the spa. And I don't need this line here. This line comes like this line comes like that. And remember, we're shooting for a solid loop. Fillet the radius, 0 that together. Trim out this.
Slow it down there, Speed Wizard.
That's why we're having it on tape. There's my planter shape right there. That's the planter. Edit the polyline. Multiple. Join them. Yes, join. Boom, 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 boom. There it is. Now the reason we edit the polyline is because if you don't, you would have to draw a stupid polyline around all that. You would have to reinvent every one of these arcs. And that's where you could screw up. So never reinvent it, always copy it. That's what I used to do until I figured out how to edit a polyline. Now, this is planter. My deck is 3 inches, my planter a little bit less, 2.75, 2 3/4 inches. So extrude this, 2.75, boom, boom. Look at it, it's a solid object. Now, I got to do something here I didn't do before. That piece of grass I did, I'm on the grass layer, that's why it turned green. It's fine. Now I'm going to take this, now that it's a 3D object, select it again and drop it down and put it on my planter layer. Move it over 1,500 inches. Look at my thing, as you check as you go along so you don't get something screwed up and then have to go back and try to fix it. Got my planter, got my deck. Let's put the pool shell in. Normally I put the pool shell in first, but it's a little more complicated, so let's put in our spa. Just going to copy it, outside of the spa, move it over 1,500 inches. I'm going to offset it, in this case 6. Since you're not going to see anything outside of the spa, it's going to be covered by deck, I can offset that 1 inch. Or, you know, as long as it doesn't offset into the pool, nobody's going to see it. But I'm just going to go 6 because it's just easy. I've offset the spa 6. This is the spa wall, the outside of the spa wall, which is 39 inches tall. Exactly. Extrude those 39, bingo bango. We've got 2 solid objects. We want 1 solid object, so I'm going to subtract, just like the outside, and I'm subtracting the inside. Now I've got my spa wall. You look at 3D, there's my spa wall. It looks a little funny because it's so small, but that's okay. Like my spa bench, which is this and this. Copy them over 750, which is halfway to glory there. In this case, I'll move them all the way. What the hell? Move to my 3D perspective. There are the white lines. Those are the lines I just brought in. Those are 24 inches. They're the bench. EXT, this and that, 24. There's my bench. Now, if you look, it's again 2 solid objects. I need to take that center away from that outside. I'm going to switch to this view. I'm going to subtract, selecting the outside, selecting the inside. Now I've got a solid object. And you can see it. A hole in the middle, though. We need a floor.
What tool is that that allows you to rotate?
3D orbit.
Okay.
Okay. Almost done. Grab my spa floor. Copy it over, 1,500, right into play. Slide it over. I'm going to extrude the spa floor 6 inches. And I'm going to union. Now I've got outside, inside, floor. I've got 3 separate pieces. I've got all these lines. Use my union command to join it all together. And I got it much cleaner, a lot less everything. Now I've got my spa. I don't have a step into the spa. And that's where these come in. First I'm going to switch this to the default, so it's smaller. Okay, here we go. Select my spa step. Move it over just halfway because I have to trim it. So I moved it 750. 750 more is 1,500. 1,500 more is into play. I'm going to trim it up. Polyline edit multiple. Join it together. There it is. I'm extruding it now. 36. That's how much a bench is. Move it over an additional 750. When I look here, there's my spa bench. Notice I've got my room here to round this thing, to fillet it. I've got some room left. I don't have it touching that. And let's look at my 2D wireframe. When I union this is all clean up. If it doesn't, it's screwed up. It all cleaned up. I'm going to save it. Now, sometimes what I do when I'm filleting and around this, you can get in trouble filleting. It can get screwed up. So sometimes I will copy this and move it 750 up out of the way. So I've got a copy of that model before I attempting to fillet it and round it up. So if I fuck this thing up, I don't have to try to go back in time, because it's sometimes tough to go back in time. Okay, I'm going to round the top of this, I'm going to round this, and I'm going to round the pool floor. In this case, I'm only going to round it just an inch. Normally I'd go 1.5 inches. This thing's too damn small. I want to retain a little bit of the detail, especially since I'm kind of doing a far shot. So I'm going to choose fillet. Select the first object, the edge of that thing. Select the fillet radius, 1 for 1 inch. Now, select additional edges. Well, I want that to be filleted an inch, and I want that to be filleted an inch. Hit the space bar, they're filleted an inch. Now I want to redo the same command. I just hit the space bar again. Anything I click will now fillet. I want the pool floor to fillet. This one, I'm going to go 1.5 inches. Bingo, I've got my little floor rounded. Nobody in the history is ever going to see the pool floor and whether or not you round it. But the reason I do it is later on, if I ever went back to this thing, it is done correctly. If you were to make a video or something.
What about where the step hits the back of the wall?
That's right. Where this rolls around here, I'm going to just put a little bit of a soft curve in it, just because I don't want that harsh edge right there. So I'm going to go fillet, select that, 0.5, half an inch, and bingo. I can even fillet, if I want to, this part right there.
Ooh.
If I want to. I don't like the looks of that, though. I'm going to undo that copy. That, I think, is okay to have that center. But it just shows you what you can fillet. You don't
It would
fillet
look
the
better
top.
on a bigger spot, though, right?
On a big spa, yeah, you can get into that kind of detail. That would be fine.
This is more like a redwood hot
Moving
dog.
back up to the top, the filleting went terrifically. I'm deleting the backup copy I made. I'm going to select the spa now. I'm going to drop it onto the shell layer because that's where it's a pool shell. Now I go to my front view. This tells me the elevations everything's at. My spa, if I go from, make a line at the 0 elevation, there's 0. My spa's sticking up out of the ground. I'm going to grab that spa. I'm going to move it down 39 inches because that's how tall it is. Now the spa on the plan is flat. It's not raised up. All I'm going to do with this spa is put it down 6 more inches because I'm going to have a 6-inch band of tile there. The 0 elevation is right below the deck. The deck comes up from 0. Everything else below the deck goes down. My spa is now at the correct elevation. I'm going to grab it, move it 1,500 over, and it is officially on the plan. Look, there's my spa. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with my pool shell. Same thing exactly. Actually, I can do one more thing. Spa, copy it, 1,500, took the spa line, one more time, offset the spa line 6 inches, extrude both items, -6 because it's tiled, it's down below. Subtract the outside, take away the inside, move those to my tile layer, move it over 1,500, and if you look now, I just put in my spa tile, quick and easy, right there. And this is perfect. The bench is going to be in 18 inches of water. This is 9 inches from the bottom of the coping, all that kind of stuff. This is just like a spa would really be. Now, saving my work. Grabbing my pool shell. In this case, I always need this nice circle here. I'm going to use this thing over a couple of times because I'm going to use it for the wall, I'm going to use it for the floor, I'm going to use it for the tile, I'm going to use it for the deck. So right here on the two-dimensional plan, I'm going to edit this polyline. And I'm going to select all these pool lines I made. Not the benches, not the steps, just the pool line itself. And I'm going to go ahead and convert this into a polyline so it's ease of use. Yes, join, bing, 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 bing. Okay, so there, I've done that. I don't have to do that, but just the one time now. Grab that pool line, move it over, into play, 1,500. Offsetting it again, 6. Now here's different measurements for the pool. The spa was 39 inches for the outside, 36 inches for the bench, 24 inches for the bench, 36 inches for the top step, 6 inches for the floor. Am I going too fast, or is this okay?
Slow down a little.
Okay. I'm going to extrude this pool wall. I'm making the outside of the pool wall. I'm going to make it 5 feet high. EXT, extrude, both objects. 5 feet. Put in the feet. Turn green. They both extruded. Unsubtract inside from the outside, and now I've got myself a pool wall. Pool needs a floor. Grab that same line I just used. Copy it over, 1,500. Go to my view here, and I'm going to extrude the pool floor. In this case, I go 12 inches. It's just what I do. And union it together. There it is. Perfect, perfect. Go up to my top. I need these steps. Now, here's where you can kill some birds with some stones here, because I got to create 3 steps there, and that step there. That's 4 to create. Copy all of them at once. Move them over 750. I don't want to move them on top of my 3D model because I have to trim them. You don't want to trim 2D things that are sitting on top of 3D things. The computer will get fluffed. Now, I'm looking at what I need to trim. Issue my trim command. Select everything. In this case, I can trim out this bench. I can trim out the first and the third step all at the same time. Select these lines I don't need. I've effectively trimmed out those 3 pieces. I was able to cut 3 pieces in one move, instead of cutting just the first bench, then the second step, then the third step. So instead of doing 4 times, I'm just going to do 2. Now I'm also going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by polyline edit multiple, all of these at once. Join them together, yes, 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 bingo, bango, bongo. That's a solid one, that's a solid one, that's a solid one. Grab them all, move them over, 750 into play. They're ready to go. Last thing I need was the second step. And trim this up. There's my second step. Polyline edit multiple. Join them together. Bing, bing, bing. Move it over into play. Go to my view, 3D view. Now those are at the 0 elevation. I know because I copied them from my 2-dimensional thing. Time to extrude them. EXT. First step, 4 foot 9 inches. You want it 3 inches from the top because there's 3 inches of plaster, 6 inches of tile. There we go. Worked just fine. EXT. That, my second step, and this bench are at the same height. So I'm going to extrude both of those at once. Select them up. 3 foot 9 inches. Boom, boom. There they go. They're coming up. One more to do. EXT. Select the bottom step. 2 foot 9. Boom, boom. Let's look at what we got. There we go. We got a pool. We got steps. It's pretty rough, but that's okay. I'm going to go back to my 2D, and I've got all this mess in here. I'm going to union it together. When I union it together, it should all clean up greatly. And if it didn't clean up greatly, I did something wrong. In this case, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to fillet it now. There's my pool shell. My pool shell looks real good. It's got its steps, it's got its benches, but it's got to get filleted up and smoothed out. I'm going to copy this one because these normally go wrong. In a regular pool situation where you've got a nice circle there, nice circle there, nice circle there, or straight lines or something, this one's a series of way too many arcs. So the odds of this filleting are less because it has to do these weird arcs and stuff. But we're going to give it a try. I still made a copy of it just in case. Here we go. I'm going to get myself to a nice view. And before I fillet the benches and steps, I'm going to try to do the hard part, which is filleting this pool floor.
Now, pool, is it true that the pool is all one depth?
You can make it multiple depths. This is the best way to start right now. This looks good if you do it all at this depth. You can do an actual floor depth, but it's much more difficult and time consuming. But this gets you started.
What do you normally do on your...
I normally do exactly like this. Nobody knows a thing. Okay, here we go. Now fillet command, select what I'm going to fillet. 12 is the number of inches. Now carefully I'm going to round this, not clicking any of the vertical lines and having to discern from all these lines.
Inside and outside.
Yeah, inside and outside. I'm going to follow.
So at the bottom, inside lines only.
You want to just click what you're going to do. Now I think the ratio of the odds of this actually working are pretty thin. I think I'm running about a 30% success on if this pool is going to fillet. I got the whole thing selected. Didn't work. Now I'm going to try it a different way. I'm going to try filleting it in pieces. I'm going to go fillet, because these corners are where it kind of chews you out. And here, I'm going to try to fillet just this back wall to start.
That's all you can see on the plan anyway, right?
Well, that is all you can see on the plan, kind of. There's just the back wall from the end of the bench to that bench. Didn't go. Try this. Fillet this. 12. 2. There that goes. Now I can try to do this.
You fillet the bottoms of pools 12 inches? Is that standard?
Yeah.
For you?
Yeah, I think it looks the best.
Is it more of a rounded?
It's not going to work though. See that the steps will fillet, but the rest of it won't fillet. So I'm going to try to go back and undo this before the steps are filleted. If it's been too many steps and this wouldn't go back, that's why I've got that one sitting there.
So you're not going to fillet it?
I'm not going to fillet that part of it.
Now these guys with their 50 pools, some will be filleted or something?
No. They have to be filleted. You can't not fillet. So I'm going to fillet now the steps, 1 point. I'm going to just fillet these 1 inch. That look good. These will fillet. I've never not had those things fillet. So the steps are okay. Fillet. Okay. Fillet. Fillet.
Hello.
Hi, Christine. How are you? Good. No, don't. Okay.
We have speed.
So I've never not had the benches fillet. It's, oh, they always fillet. This harsh edge in here, we're going to have to deal with. Here we go. We're going to fix that. First of all, my pool is done as far as AutoCAD's done. AutoCAD choked out on me on that. Dropping this down to my shell layer. Going forward, the pool's popped out of the ground 5 feet. I'm going to select this pool, and I'm going to move it down 5.5 feet and kick it into play. Move it over there, 1,500. Here we go. You're not paying attention, fool. You're looking at something burn a disc. Okay, there's my pool. The only problem is not rounded. That's not a big problem, though. I need deck, and I need pool tile, and that's getting close to be all I need. So I need pool tile. It's like my pool line. Move it over 1,500 inches. I extrude pool water, EXT, -2/8 of an inch. There it is. Move it to my water layer. Go forward and move the water down 3 inches. Move it over 1,500. Anytime you get a raised spa going, anytime you have elevations going, I normally start from scratch. I normally say, okay, the spa's raised up 12. I normally move the water down 3 anyway, and then move it back up 12 because it's just easier. Otherwise, you start going, well, if it's up 12, it needs to go 15, it's 13, it's so until you get real comfortable with that. Okay,
How did you move the water down 3?
I went to my front view here and moved it up and down. Now I didn't put my pool tile in. Copy this, move it over.
Does the water have to have depth to the bottom of the pool or no?
No, no, in fact you don't want it to, really.
It's not a
No.
the shape of water.
Okay, so there's this from my pool tile. I'm going to extrude these, -6, subtract that from that, move it to my tile layer, real easy. It's already -6, where it needs to be 1,500, move it into play, go check how it looks. There it is, and you can see the water is riding halfway up the pool tile. That's perfect. I need spa water. So you don't put the water until last because you want to see your pool shell. So, because you can't see through it here, you'll be able to see through it later. Take my spa water, copy it over 1,500, extrude that, -2/8 of an inch, grab that, stick it onto the water layer, forward, move it down 3 inches, move it over 1,500, and you're going to do these so many times. It's so stupid easy. Okay, I've got pool, I've got shell, I've got water, I've got tile, I need deck. I need this whole piece of silly deck coming out here. Go to my top view. So I need the deck, select my deck lines. All these lines, ripping around, this is the outside of the deck, obviously. Copy that over, 1,500 inches. And right now I'm going to polyline, edit, multiple, all these lines there, and join it up. Now, the deck hangs over the pool and the spa. In this case, I'm going to hang it over 1.5 inches, and I'm going to round it 1.5 inches so it's perfectly round too. So I'm going to offset 1.5. That line and that line. And that one went the wrong direction. That one went outside. Offset 1.5 to the inside. So I've got this line, and I've got...
It's even smaller though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's okay. So I'm going to move these because I don't need them there. They're just copies of those lines. But now this is sticking in a little bit. I don't need to offset it on this outside part. Now, the deck I determined was going to be 3 inches thick, so I'm going to extrude all 3 objects 3 inches. And then I'm going to subtract this, taking out both holes for the pool and spa water. Now I've got that. And I'm going to effectively move it onto my deck layer. Yay. One last thing I got to do, I got to fillet this. If that harsh line around the pool, that's not what that
If you
was
had
like.
to, you could fillet it after it was moved over into play, right?
Well, but you know what? If you do that, watch. You move it over into play and try to fillet it now with all these other lines, that's a bad idea.
But you're good.
You could, but there's no reason to. That's why you have this middle workspace so that you don't have to do that. Okay, here it goes. Fillet 1.5. Grab the top line. I missed the top line, but it did do the bottom. It's okay? Do the top right afterwards. There it is, nice and smooth. Smooth. Now, we may have a problem filleting this edge here. If we had a problem filleting before, we may have a problem filleting that edge. If we do, we've got to go and fix that. We can't not have it rounded. So, here we go. Fillet again, and effectively just select everything, being very careful not to select the horizontal lines. Take my time, go around this puppy, and then when I'm done issuing the command, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that it goes. And even then, I've had it happen where sometimes it doesn't work, and I try the same way 3 times, and then once it gets lucky. I don't know how that works.
You should write alert or AutoCAD.
Yeah.
See if that's going to
It worked.
Maybe there's a patch for that.
It worked. Okay, so here we go. My deck. Move it into play. Save it. Because anytime you do something fantastic, especially like filleting, you save it. Now look what I'm missing. I'm missing score joints in the deck. And I'm missing the rounded pool bottom. Put my score joints on. I just moved
Is the house on the wrong layer? Why was it the same color as everything else?
That doesn't matter. It's on different layers.
Oh.
See, look. There it is. I'm going to put a score joint there. Put a score joint here. Score this like that. Should I put some score joints around this thing? I don't know. I'll see if they look good. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's such a free-form shape that sometimes it's going to junk things up. You know what?
Where are you going with those? To the side
In
of
this
the
case, I'm
pool?
just going to score this. I'm just going to score the definition between this deck and that deck. That's it. This is not going to benefit. So freeform, it's not going to benefit from score joints. Geometric pools.
Is the original
has,
picture of them?
the original picture did not seem to have score joints. No, it had a score joint right there, and I'm going to re-put in that one line.
But in real life, that's not possible,
Well, exactly. So now I'm going to move my score joint 1500 into play. Now I'm also going to have to go to my front view and move my score joint.
Aren't you going to X the patio? Or are you gonna...
What?
The deck? We had it X'd on the other one.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it up 3 inches so that it can be seen on top of the deck. And I'll move it over 1500. Now it's then kicked into play. We need one more thing. We need the form to round this pool bottom. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, I'm going to take this, and the pool bottom roundness is right here. It follows the pool line and the bottom step, and the roundness bench. That's the line it follows. So I'm going to select these things, copy them over, 1500 into play. Trim this thing up. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm going to do a polyline edit multi-tool.
Ooh, that's a nice guitar shape.
Now I've got my track.
Could you design guitars?
Sure. I've got my track here to be able to run the line around. So I'm going to move this onto a layer. In this case, I'm not going to take the time to make a layer. I'm just going to move it on the one that's not being used. Coping is not being used, and move to my coping layer. Now I'm going to go to my front view, and I'm also going to move it down to the level of the pool floor down here, so that it is at the same level as the pool floor. Move it over 1500 into play. It's right there sitting at the pool floor. It's this track. I drew a track. Okay? Now, continuing into my workspace, I'm going to make an 18-inch circle. I want the pool floor. Oops. Actually, I want, in this case, I want a 12-inch circle. I want the pool floor to have this nice round shape right there. In order for this to work, here's what I got to do. I made my 12-inch circle, copy it, move it over 2 feet. Copy them again, move them down 2 feet. I've got to ride, it's going to ride along the center of any object I create. So I have to create that center 4 different ways so that it works. Not going to make a lot of sense right now, but it's going to work. Trim this up like this. And I'm going to polyline edit, pull them together. There's my object. The center of this object is how the computer is going to treat this track. It's going to ride it from there. That's perfect. There, when I ride it from there, there's my pool floor. Or if you use that side, whatever, it doesn't matter. The center of that...
Is it like you're making a router bit?
Yes, you're like making a router bit, exactly.
A virtual router bit?
Yeah. That was a good end. That was good. Now I'm going to move this onto a separate layer.
Taped with your badge on.
I'm going to put this on my stepper layer just to have it on something I can recognize. And I have it selected, but not this line. But I have the line there because I need to move this from the center. So now I'm going to move from the center. So I got it right grabbed by the center of the falls. I'm going to move it to 0, 0, 0, which is the 0, absolute 0 of everything. And if you look in the 3D model, you'll see it sitting right in the middle of the world there is my form, right there. Perfect. And now I'm going to close AutoCAD. That file is complete.
So who uses the form? 3D Studio Max?
Yep. 3D Studio Max is a
No, that's
much
gonna be
more
confusing.
powerful 3D modeling tool. 3D Max and AutoCAD have some funny things. If you make something in 3D Studio Max, and you bring it into AutoCAD, it's made of a zillion lines. It is terror. Okay, I'm going to open up the last file I did because it's already got my map files that I was using, and it's pretty much already set up. It's got the camera. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to save it as PFT_2 T_2 so that I don't overwrite the other file. Is that what it is? PFT_2? Yep, okay. Now, just like you would in real life, you're going to take that pool water and delete it, and that pool shell and delete it. Actually, see, look, that one also had a pool floor I had to make riding it along a track. See, there's the form riding along that track.
But you don't need that extra dimension.
You see it?
Could you get rid of the back of the track or
See, look, there was my pool floor riding along the track.
See
Yeah, but there's no reason to have to get rid of the back. It would take more time than just doing it like this.
Okay.
Also remember, a lot of the stuff I do is based on knocking something out in 2 hours rather than doing it correctly for 15 hours, you know. Okay, I'm going to delete the grass, I'm going to delete that, I'm going to delete the planter.
Because this only creates a representation of what you're selling. It's not really used by an engineer to actually make these things.
Okay, so I basically
machine.
deleted everything, but I'm going to go ahead and save these things, because that's just fine with me. Okay. Switch to our camera view, render it. We basically just have the generic plot. Now, I saved it as the new file, so I didn't overwrite my old file, and I'm going to import the AutoCAD file, dropping down to AutoCAD, and now I got to go to that folder. Computer, where's the folder I put it in? Now I got to remember what the name of the darn thing was, PFT2, open it up. Merge all the objects. This is already all preset. Yours is not preset. I'm going to have to preset yours. There you go. It's coming in. Now these objects I saved, it's actually going to import those too, and I'm just going to dump the extras. There it is. Bring up my list. Black borders and White House, both are copies. These are the ones that just came in, and they're sitting right on top of the ones I already have. You can see them right there. Just going to delete them. I'm also going to go over here just because this is my pet peeve. This is my temporary design. Going to delete that. Go in here, and I'm ready to rumble. Start picking objects. First thing I normally pick is I just click on Watcher. They're named by default from AutoCAD 0.01. Whatever layer they're on, it'll add a 0.01. Whenever I add my material in Max, I take away that 0.01 so that it stands out in the list as being a completed object. Things that are named in capital letters are 3D objects. So when you go to your list, you can see anything that's not all capitals is a two-dimensional object, and it helps you pick out your shit in your list by looking at
So
what's
we're not going to mess
two-dimensional.
with the two-dimensional objects in 3D with Studio Max
Anything you
either.
create in 3D, you want to go ahead and name all caps so that you can differentiate. That's just a trick that they use.
But now all you're doing is you're taking a group of assembled 3D objects and you're putting, what do you call it?
Yeah.
You're bump mapping them?
Yeah, but see, what I did is I created all this content new in AutoCAD. If I was adding trees and stuff, that's all pre-created content 3D Studio Max. I would just import them and move them around and drag them into position. So everything that we just had to create, we have to rename. So now the water, I'm going to my material by either clicking M or clicking my material thing. Okay. That's weird. Jeez Louise. Never seen that happen before. I just
Like old hat?
Yeah, it was like, okay, so now I'm going to put my water on there, onto the pool water. Now the water property is already set into 60% opacity, and it's already preset. You'll have that same preset in your thing. But when you do pool water, it's not just putting the materials on. You also have to right-click it, choose Properties, and turn off Receive and Cast Shadows.
Every time?
Yeah, otherwise, the light source hits the water, and the water casts a black shadow, and you can't see the pool shell. And you put all that time into making a nice pool shell, but you can't see through the stupid water. You don't want it to cast shadows. You can sometimes have it receive the shadows. That's sometimes not too bad, but you don't want it definitely to cast shadows. That screws you up. There's my
You can't
water.
leave that on by default or off by default? Or
Well, it's not associated with the material, it's associated with the object, so you have to change the object's properties.
That's done by right-clicking on the object.
And this water we just brought in, even though we do pool water all the time, this water is new. This brand new pool water I just brought in. It doesn't know that it's different from any other object. It's like the neighborhood blackhead.
It's the only transparent thing in the scene also, right?
Yes. Okay. Now it's just simple. I'm just going to pick my grass, take away the 0.01 so that I know I've done it, bring up my materials, hit my grass, apply it to the selection. Now I'm going to my map scaler for grass. Map scaler on grass, 8 foot 4 inches. Looks good to me. Right? There it is. And I'm going to save this thing. I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to take a little side step here with the grass and show you something that you could do. Should I show you now? Let's finish this, then I'll show you the grass trick. Okay? Remind me about the grass trick. Select my planter. Take away the 0.01, because now if you're looking at my list, look, that flags, that's something I need to fix, that's something, and that's something I need to fix. Everything else is done because I can tell. Bring out my materials, go to my planter material, use my map scaler, and you have to play with mapping, UV mapping, and the map scaler to kind of really understand them, but they're pretty easy to understand. Now in this case, I might do a different deck. I've done a billion beige decks. Let's do a different deck. I'm going to take, instead of doing this beige deck, I'm going to switch out the material with a different JPEG. Go something a little bit, I don't know about gray deck. What other deck? Maybe I have to have a mauve deck or something?
I don't know.
I'm going to do beige warm on this one. There we go. Modifier list, map scaler, perfect. Now this is going to be rendered at this exact angle. There's not a whole lot of detail going into this particular design. However, this is a perfect example of, if you were doing deck, you would want to use, oops, I just moved the camera. You would want to actually attach maybe a grime map to this and bump it with little dots so that you had that real look. You're not going to appreciate that from where I'm rendering it, so I'm not going to worry about putting it in. I hope I didn't move the camera. If I did, no big deal, I can re-import it. Okay, so the deck is done, grass is done. I got to do the tile. Come in here and look. Pick out my tile. Still named 01, select it. Boom, 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 boom. Rename it. I'm going to also try to pick a different tile map. I'm going to have to pick a tile. I'm going to go with a nice, something saucy. Go into my tiles. Got one called Duck Skin. It's kind of like that. Shown on there my tile properties. It's tiled at 2 and 2, which is indicative of a 6-inch tile. My map scaler scale goes to 1 foot, and those tiles are put on at 2 foot. There you have your waterline tile looking good. Zoomed in. See, the nice thing is, even though we're rendering this from far away, when you zoom in, look, there's your nice cantilevered edge. There's your nice pool tile with the grout. There's your water running right up at 3 inches. Even though this particular scene is getting rendered crappily from far away, you've done a high-quality model. And that's what's important, is it's usable later for a movie or whatever the frig you're going to use it for. You've got a high-quality model. See what I'm saying? You can see every piece of grout in there. That's just the maps you use and the model detail you put in. And this model is very nicely detailed. Now, if you look at the camera and render it, what are we missing? We don't have our score joint sitting over here on the deck, and we don't have our rounded pool bottom. Other than that, it's ready to rumble. Okay? So basically all we've done in this program is we just added the materials and it added the lighting and the camera setup. Just flick my score joint out. Still named 0.01, remove the 0.01. Score joint is purple. I'm going to change its color. I'm not going to use a material on the score joint. I'm just going to change its color to black. There's my score joint sitting right there. It's just a line. It's not even a 3D object. It's just a line sitting at 3 inches in the air. And I'm going to choose rendering, make it renderable, and make it a thickness of, in this case, if I went to 12 inches, you'd see what it would do. It would render a 12-inch thick line right there, which is awfully huge. So look at that thing. It makes it like a 12-inch bar. We don't want that. I render it at a thickness of 2/8 of an inch. When you render it, it gives you a self-black line. See what I'm saying? So that looks fine. I use 2/8 of an inch for that, and that's what you always just use for any of that stuff. Now, switch to our perspective view, and let's take a peek at what we're going to do. We've got two objects in here. We've got our form and our pool line that we need to ride that thing around the track of, right? We go in here, and I'm going to pull the pool line, which I put on what layer? This is why you name layers, because now I'm having to play dumb. I put it on the coping layer. See, here's the pool line right there. I'm going to undo it because I want it down there at the bottom. Now, you go into your first tab over here. Standard primitives. Drop this menu down. What? This is easy.
Just trying to grasp it this morning. Now you
Compound objects. You're going to loft it. It's called lofting, writing it on a pool track. Get shape. Hit H to bring up your list. Pick my shape. Bingo. There it went. We wrote that shape around it. The reason this is so useful is if you did a house or something like that, you could make a series of different shapes, like crown molding on a set of cabinets. You could make 6 different crown moldings. Get this shape, get that shape, and dynamically change out the molds like that. It's really terrific. Countertop edging or something, you know. Now, I'm going to undo this move and move it back to the correct elevation. You saw it was gold-green. I'm just going to turn it to white because that's what my pool color is. And I'm going to rename it from Loft 01 to Loft Pool Floor. I keep naming it Loft, and I'll show you why. It goes in a series of segments, and you can adjust its detail level. So I'm going to adjust its detail level right now in path. Anytime you loft, you always want to shut off smooth length, smooth width, and you want to turn off and turn shape and path steps. I'm going to bump them up to 36. That made it real smooth loft line. You see that? So look how many. This is what that does. See how it says 36 there? Watch how I go down to 2. See? It makes it real craggy looking. Shoot, I got to reloft it because I undid all that, unfortunately. Okay, there it is. Redo get shape. I'm going to pump it back up to 36. Okay. Pool loft floor. Now, I've got the pool floor loft done. I can delete those objects I used to loft it with. These things here, which were my, oops, these things, oops, once again, those things were my tools used to make it. I don't need them anymore. I can delete them. I use those to create that object. You can also do that in AutoCAD. You can extrude along a path. It's the same thing. It just goes, but AutoCAD being not great at 3D modeling, when it extrudes along the path, if it couldn't fillet it, it's not going to extrude it along the path either. So 3D Max doesn't give a shit. It'll do anything, but it will sometimes end up funky, but it'll do it. Okay, so this, I think, set our camera, let's render it with F9, is ready to go. I got my hair. Now watch the difference in the pool roundedness, Rick. Look, see that? Take that sharp edge right away. Now, I only had to round the pool because my spa did fillet. And now, it's done. I'm going to save this as, in the stupid file, I'm going to name it TFT_2R for render. All formats, says a JPEG, high quality, blah, 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 done. Now, I'm going to show you something. That part of it's done. If I wanted to bring in a tree, I would go to File, Import, go to my material library, 3D plants, whatever, bring in a tree, bring it in, here it comes, there's my tree. See? Just bring the tree up on the ground, I stick it right into the ground. I want to make it bigger, I just scale it bigger. I want to spin it around, I just spin it around. I want to lean it, I just lean it. So I take it, I move it where I can see it. Oops. Over here, and then I move it up and down, and I see when the thing starts going into the ground. There it goes.
How are you moving up and down as opposed to around?
See, look at those little yellow lines, whatever's highlighted.
Oh, you click on, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, show me the grass trick.
So look, I move it over here. I'll move it, let's just put it right there and watch if it casts its little nice shadow. Now watch. Put a tree in my rendering. Here comes this tree. And its shadow will accompany it. Beautiful, huh? This is how the renderings start getting. Look at now. Hold down Shift and move this tree to another location. It clones the tree. I want to stick another one of it over here, and I go ahead and I'll spin that to make it look like it's a little bit different. I'm going to undo both these things. And
So when you're putting in the full landscaping, do you render after each piece is added?
No,
or
no,
the
no,
whole
no.
thing's done?
No, you only render when you want to check to see
If
what's
you
on my
added 30
line.
different trees to this,
Then
how
the
long would it
drawing
take to
really
render?
starts chucking. Ah, worst case scenario, that killer took like 11 minutes to render. But you've already checked the lighting, you've already set your camera up, you know it's going to look good.
But that's on your old-fashioned wheel deck computer.
Okay, now wheel deck. Here's something that you sometimes want to do. You want to mound something. Ready? I'm going to mound, first of all I'm going to save this file, and then I'm going to go to the top view here. This piece of grass, I'm going to select. There it is, grass. When you look at the editable mesh, there's the grass line. It's made up of these polygons on the outside. There's no polygons in the middle. I can take this thing from this position, and it'll literally let me select these polygons and then move them. I could tweak this piece of grass, see? I could tweak this thing like this. See, but that doesn't do me a lot of good, tweaking it by those stupid edges. Alright, so here's a little neat trick. I'm going to go to my top view, go to my wireframe, go to this list here, I'm going to subdivide it. 1 foot, I put a polygon at least every 1 foot. And I'm going to collapse that. Yes. Then, your selection tool, that's the square tool, you drop this down, look. I'm going to put a selection tool that lets me do selection from all kinds of funny angles. Go into my edit the mesh. Pick up my select tool. Choose soft selection. Draw, oops, undo. Let's go to my top. Draw a nice kind of smooth putting green looking shape around it. Now look what soft selection does. See how there's yellow dots around there? It attracts a fallout. So I'll set my soft selection to 3 feet. Go to my perspective view. See, that's how the soft selection works. Now watch this. See, it makes a nice rounded dip. So I could mound the grass by just doing that. Now I would have grass that's mounded, if I so wanted it to be. If I wanted to create a little culvert, you can manipulate it if you want to. That's just something for later. Subdividing is a good way to mound. That's just, and you have to play with subdivide, but it's a good way to mound. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Save my changes? No, because I already saved it before that. Now we've got our render. We're going into our
The
file.
first product we end up with 8, drawing, and a max.
Here's what we've ended up with. Let's watch. Okay, the file we just did, I should have never closed
No, it's
it.
AutoCAD spits out A.
AutoCAD spit out a drawing file,
And 3D Max is going to spit out A.
max file, and
So
it also spit out a JPEG. We
The
ended
reason
up
you got
with
me
3
confused was
files.
because yesterday when we couldn't do maxes, what was I doing?
It wouldn't save a max file. Okay, ready, Freddy? Look. We just did this drawing called PFT2. I believe this was it, right? Yes. We just did PFT2. I go in here. I've got my PFT2 rendering right there. I've got my PFT2 max file and the drawing file. I'm going to zip the drawing file. Add to zip. I'm going to rename the zip file with lowercase letters PFT2C, stands for CAD. Now I'm going to zip the max file. The reason you don't zip them both, you rename it before you zip that one, is they're named the same stupid thing. And it would add it to the zip, it would get screwed up. I'm going to rename the max file PFT2M. Perfect. I've got my JPEG and my CAD file and my max file zipped up. The reason I have it zipped up, my max file zipped is 118. My max file unzipped is 5 times the size. My CAD file zipped is 353. My CAD file unzipped is 1.5 megabytes. Close this down. I'm opening up Microsoft front page. I'm going to open up 3D Pools, Landscape Creative things, you know the name and stuff. Now, I'm going to go here. File. This is real nice and clean. It's just got all the folders, and there's just the one little image and the one index. Import. Add file. I'm going to add all 3 things at once. What are we working on? PFT2. I'm going to PFT2 CAD. Zip file. PFT2 Max zip file. PFT2 rendering. Open them up. Yes, those are correct. Okay, it's now uploading the 3 files to the web server. Hey, fool, do me a favor. Go shut that door. We're videotaping and they're vacuuming. Somebody watching them going, what's that noise, Don? A lot of background static there, Don. Is that rude to close the door on the cleaners? Okay. We're uploading now. We're almost done. Then we should do some other modeling, rendering, max things like importing trees and plants. Because once this project's over, you're going to want to know how to make a rock. You can put those things have rocks in them and stuff, and how to do some fun stuff like that. And we're doing pretty good on time. It's only 11:22. So if we stick around till at least like 3 o'clock, we should be able to get plenty of that accomplished. Okay, now it's doing the zip file, CAD file. Okay, now it's going to... Okay, so I'm just being patient. Also, when you're on front page and you're on the website, this does not have a backup. You goose grade these files up, it's going to be bad. Make a backup! Make a backup. I'll put that on my list of to-do-lios. It's almost done. There it is. Now watch. Now I go in here. I grab...
back up the website daily.
You should. Watch.
Don't know how.
Now I take the CAD file and I drag it easily into the CAD files. Take the max file, drag it into the max files. Take the rendering, drag it into renders. Now I open up the page. Now, once again, we're going to be putting in PFT2, which when I come down here on this page, let this thing load up.
How do these guys get their stuff? They come here every day and see if you did anything? Or what?
PFT2, okay, it's right under that one. There it is there. I'm going to do this. I go to my renders. I'm going to drag PFT2 right to the particular spot, making sure we have to keep this thing organized. You cannot put it in the bad spot. There's no going and cleaning this thing up. You have to put it in the right spot. So take your time, make sure you put it in the right spot, and thumbnail it 40 pixels. There it goes. Right there, perfect. It matches up, I can see it from here. Now I'm going to type in here, PFT_2. PFT_2. I'm going to go hyperlink. I know you can't see the fonts. That's the CAD file, so I want to hyperlink to the CAD file, PFT_2. I'm going to remove the underline. I'm going to change it to a 10 font. And also change it to Arial. I'm going to select my next thing, hyperlink. Go up to my max files, PFT_2. Remove the underline. Switch to a 10 font. Switch to Arial. And I'm going to close the page. And it's going to say, you want to save? Yes. And you want to save the thumbnail it's going to now need to create in the thumbs folder. Okay. When that closes, before I shut down front page, I'm going to now go here and refresh my page. And look, I want to make sure
It's not there.